Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and our guest today is Dr. Shica. So, Dr. Shica, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Yes, I am Dr. Shica with Dr. Shica's Bakery. I am the founder and CEO of our corporation, and our job is to make delicious plant-based cookies. And so we do focus on cookies. However, we do have an array of different desserts, but again, I focus and stress delicious plant-based.
Awesome. And you're based in Los Angeles.
Yes, we're based in Los Angeles, correct.
Amazing. So how did you get the idea to actually go out and start this business?
Wow. Okay. So I used to be a college professor, and so that's hence the doctor part of my name. So basically, I have always enjoyed baking ever since I was a child. I grew up in South Carolina, and I would spend the summers with my grandmother and just watching over her shoulder and just watching her bake. My mom is a baker as well, so I come from a family of bakers. And so I started at the age of around about 12 years old. And one story that I always share with people is that I was able to convince my grandma to let me use a can of her biscuits. And so I was like, Grandma, can I use your can of biscuits? I'm going to make a dessert. And she was like, you want to do what? And so what I did is I had this idea to basically take the biscuit, put a hole in it with my finger and fry them on both sides. And then I made like a cinnamon and sugar mixture. And so when I did that, I took the donuts out after frying them and then flipped them on both sides and coated them in cinnamon and sugar. And that was like one of my first creations. And from there, my grandmother was like, we got to get you an easy bake oven. And so when I did that, I would always make desserts and ask my aunties and uncles, hey, I made this. Can you try this? And so I've always been inquisitive in the kitchen. And that was from an early age. My career path was totally different than baking. So I actually have 3 degrees in education. I have a bachelor's in education. I taught elementary, middle, and high school. And I went on to get my master's, and then I got my doctorate in education leadership with a focus in higher education. And I taught college for about a couple of years and loved it. But when you have a passion and a fire for something, it always brings you back. And so I was working for education as an education manager in 2020. And I had always been baking on the side, still baking on the weekends for friends and family. And COVID came. When COVID came, the company actually closed its doors. And so our marketing director was like, well, you're already baking on the side. She was like, why don't you go ahead and take this time to open your bakery? So at that moment, it was like a giant leap of faith. But at the same time, I didn't have a job. So I was like, let's see what happens with me doing these baking. And so what I did at that point, I would do pop-ups around LA because at that time, we were on lockdown and people could still go out and grab food. But, a lot of the restaurants were closed. So I would do pop-ups. And some of the pop-ups that I did was like in the Melrose area. And I had some really famous producers and people to come by and they tried our desserts. And from there, like one of the ones that you will probably know is if you ever watched the TV show Entourage, which is one of my favorite shows. Well, the actual creator of the TV show Entourage, Doug Ellen, he came by and he tried our brownies and he was like, oh my gosh, just like best brownie I've ever had. And so then he started telling his friends, and he told one of his friends who was the producer of the TV show The Office. Her name is Terry Weinberg, and she was like, oh my gosh, these brownies and cookies are so good. She started telling other people. It actually ended up getting back to Jessica Simpson, and I ended up making her birthday cake for her 40th birthday, which was pretty amazing. And so just word of mouth really just created the buzz. And we started with traditional desserts desserts, and I started having requests for plant-based desserts. But when people tasted the plant-based desserts, they were like amazed that they really did not taste plant-based. They were like, wow, this is delicious. I like the plant-based just as good or even better than the traditional dessert. And so that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, you know what? I think we have something here. And so the market is super saturated with traditional dessert. And so I made it my mission because I love creating things. I love a challenge of trying to figure out like what makes something really taste good. And so I really made it my mission to like work with every recipe that I had to create a plant-based version of it. And it was super fun. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, that's cool that like you started sort of during COVID and then just it was a weird time. So you were able to like encounter and run into some people that maybe if you would have started at like a different time, wouldn't have been the same kind of people just because people were all sort of locked down and there weren't as many options of places to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was perfect timing.
Amazing. So in terms of your business today, like are you mostly direct to consumer, retail, Amazon? Like what are the biggest channels for you in your business?
Okay. And just to take a step back a little bit more on the conversation of the pop-up. So at 2020, we were doing a pop-up. That following year, like towards 2021, when stuff started opening again, we actually got an opportunity where the mall was really trying to get vendors to come in because at the point, the mall was closed for a good year over here in LA. And so there were opportunities where someone told me, they were like, well, they're looking for like a bake shop to come into the mall. And, they have some really good programs. They're going to work with you. And we were like, okay, well, let's check on it. I never thought about opening up a small kiosk at the mall, but the opportunity arose. I was able to have a kiosk at the mall for a good year to a year and a half. And it was a great experience because that kiosk at the mall really served like a testing ground. I was able to know many people and able to try new recipes, and people were buying products. We would get their feedback. And I say that because getting customer feedback is definitely critical. Being able to have people to taste it on the large scale, having customers that we never met before try our product was great. But I decided to close that location and actually go for my dream, which is to be able to sell nationwide, to be able to have our cookie mixes and our plant-based cookies more of a nationwide, because it was great. But I was like, every day I was like, okay, we have foot traffic of a couple of hundred people, but I would like to have the nation as our footprint, and eventually the world is our footprint. And that's where we are now. So to answer your question, we started about a year ago in about 200 stores. And so I am so excited to announce that we are like over 4,100 stores now as of this week, actually.
Okay,
so
congratulations. That's
yeah,
exciting.
thank you so much. Yeah, so in all of the TJ Maxx, all of the Home Goods, all of the Marshalls across the country nationwide are going to be carrying the product. And so if there's one in your area, it may already be there. So we've already shipped the inventory and we're just waiting to see, when it hits the shelf. So any day now. And then also that includes 600 of the TJ Maxx stores in Canada. And so, it's a dream come true because not only are we nationwide, we're also international.
Yeah, I mean, like that's so cool because you're kind of thinking outside the box. Like most people would kind of go for like grocery store chains, and you're going for like a different type of store, more of like a retail clothing store. But like they do sell, but they do sell those types of products. So if people are shopping, and if they're out there with their kids and they want to bake something, they can see your product and snatch it from the shelf. Like as opposed to like if you're like in a certain grocery store, it's much more competitive, right? So you're like not standing out as much.
Yeah, exactly. Those stores, a lot of people don't know it, but they carry a lot of gourmet items that you just happen to go in there and you're like, hey, I've never tried this before, but this looks interesting. And the reason why I know is because I shop at all four of them weekly.
So is your plan to eventually get into retail grocery later on, or kind of like what does your strategy look like?
Yeah, so our next large account coming up is Costco. And so that's our next one. And we do have a lot of independents that are out there now too, and small chain grocery stores that we're already working with. But I just wanted to mention the large ones.
No, that's cool. So obviously like you're in all these retailers. What about e-commerce, direct to consumer, Amazon, right? Like what are those those channels look like for you?
So you can buy on our website, and we do really well on our website. And also, we just added a fundraise component as well, just to be able to give back to the community, to be able to offer and lend our hand in people that may, need to raise money for organizations. So that's also an option as well.
Amazing. So obviously, like, way back when you first started, you're like at these markets and meeting your customers, and on your website also kind of gives you like that direct, customer interaction. Like, what have you noticed in terms of your customers? Like, are they in a certain part of the country, or like, what is like an ideal customer, or I guess typical customer for you?
Well, what's really unique about it is that because we focus on flavor and delicious, our customer base doesn't just stop at plant-based. It doesn't stop at vegan. It doesn't stop at dairy-free. It doesn't stop at lactose intolerant. And those are all benefits for our cookie. It's really anybody who likes a good cookie. And that is our customer base. And that's what we focus on. And when we first started, we were thinking, maybe plant-based people are only big in LA, or maybe they're only big in Portland. And, some of the large cities that are really known for plant-based, initially, that's what we thought. It was certain places that really consume plant-based. So when I tell you, some of the markets like Alabama, Texas, places that are not traditionally plant-based are some of our biggest customers.
That's amazing. Do you feel like you've kind of had to educate your consumers about like plant-based versus inactive? Because like some people who might have not tried your product might sort of be hesitant, like, oh, like plant-based, I'm not sure if it tastes good. So how do you kind of go about that education?
I'm glad you brought that up, because first off, hopefully we're thinking that, the yellow bright package, you can't miss anywhere. I think I chose the brightest color that I could possibly choose for our company. But by the way, it's my favorite color, so it does have a purpose. But on our package, we primarily try to focus on, just a good experience, like cheerful cookies, a smiling face up top, and giving us a chance from a perspective that when someone picks it up, whether they're plant-based or not, they're not already judging it, like you said, because they're like, plant-based, I don't know if this is going to be good or not. Because there are so many people that have tried so many products, and they're like, oh my gosh, this plant-based dessert has really messed up my taste buds. And I can attest, because, being at Expo West every year, I've tried some things that I was like, oh my gosh, like literally, I don't want to have anything else today. Like, that's how bad it tastes.
Right.
And so with my face on this package, it's my goal to make sure that everything tastes good, because I don't want to be responsible for it messing up anybody's taste buds. I don't want anybody looking for me to say, you know what, that was the most horrible thing I tasted. Instead, I want people to say, that is the best thing I've tasted.
100%. It's funny because we used to interview so many people in CPG, and it's like one of the first rules I always say of CPG is like, your product should taste good. If it doesn't taste good, it's like, good luck selling it. It's very
who's going to buy it again? You know what I mean? We want repeat buys. We're not looking for a customer to just buy one time and say, okay, I tried it, but I'll never buy it again. We want someone to taste it and say, hey, I have a friend that should try this, or my kids actually love this. We want you to be amazed on the other end of the spectrum, that you're amazed by the taste and the flavor. And so that's what we live by, taste, flavor, delicious.
Hey y'all, it's Dan Melnick, the CEO of Zing. And I wanted to share a special offer for all of our listeners. Right now, if you need software development services, we'll give you 2 weeks of a free trial. Do you need to update your website? Do you want to build a mobile app? Do you want to update something that you've been working on for a long time? We've worked in a high-level technologies like AI, machine learning, blockchain. So shoot me a text, 817-874-2208. Thank you.
100%. So what would you say is the biggest challenge that you currently face in your business?
The biggest challenge, I would say, always is marketing. You can never have enough marketing dollars, even if you think you do. And really, with our product, you're exactly right. You hit the head on the nail. It's a Southern colloquialism. When you said that people need to taste it. And so when we do taste tests, in stores, like we will be doing in Costco coming up starting next next month in LA. If you're in LA, come see us. Taste tests are king, because once someone tries it, our rate is like a 9 out of 10. When they try it, if they like it and they want to have something sweet that day, they're like, hey, give me 3 bags, give me 4 bags, because we have 4 flavors. And so we don't just entice you with the chocolate chip, we entice you with lemon, oatmeal raisin, and our sugar cookie. So you have some different options. And you have holiday flavors that are coming up too. So we have a good pumpkin spice cookie. We have good gingerbread cookies. We have hot chocolate cookies that resembles a hot cup of chocolate. So we don't just stop at our 4 flavors. We actually have an extended line of different flavors, but all of them across the board are delicious.
Amazing. So when you're in these new retail stores, like how are you going to get trial? Like, are you going to be running ads or coupons, or are you even able to do like, taste tests in those stores, like TJ Maxx or Marshalls? Like, yeah, I'm curious what that looks like.
So I have an amazing team, an amazing director of media, Natalie. She's actually created some really fun experiences that we're going to be doing around these stores. And so we're going to be doing a tour, in different cities around different stores. We're going to be giving out samples in little mini packages with the QR code for the person to be able to walk into the store and try it. During some of those stores, I'm going to pop into a lot of these stores in different parts of the country and just walk in as a consumer and stand in line, have conversations with people in line and say, hey, have you tried this before? You strike a conversation. No, I haven't tried it. What is that? Well, let me tell you about it. At the end of the conversation, hey, you know what? That's me on there. And I'm going to buy you these cookies. Pick up as many as you want. So we're going to do some really unique content videos, almost like Dr. Shika meets Mr. Beast. Where we're going to have a lot of fun in these areas and really engage with the community, be able to give back to the community. And one of the fun things that Natalie came up with is we're going to be able to partner with some of the local organizations where we're going to pick a couple of kids maybe and take them into the store and give them a gift card and buy them a whole outfit for school. And you know what? By the way, here are some cookies too. So we're going to do some things to give back to the community, but some exciting things to be able to make some traction on social media where people will be able to know about it.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you can share this, but I'm curious. Obviously, I'm in Texas. So are you going to be coming out here to Texas at all?
Yes, we are. We are going to be in Texas, and we may be in Austin.
Okay, awesome. That's good to know. Awesome. So I'm always curious about this because many companies today are using AI in their business. So do you guys currently use any AI? And if not, like where can maybe give you some more value in 2024?
Yeah, so we have not used a lot of AI, but I agree with you. We would love to learn more about it.
100%. Yeah, but there's so many use cases, especially like in e-commerce. People are always figuring out AI, seeing if they can use it better. So I'm curious, so you started this company about 4 years ago now. So if you could go back in time before you first started, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
Wow. I will say this. There are so many people that when they see a new company, it's almost like the vulture effect. They're coming out and everybody's trying to create a paycheck for themselves. So as a new company, you got to watch out because there are so many people that will tell you, oh, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And it's a lot of them. And all of it sounds great. But if you really don't take a deep dive into, do I really need this service? How is this going to benefit us? Those people are creating checks for themselves whenever you may not have anything left over for yourself. You really have to be on it, whenever you're trying to discern what should I do? Does this sound like I need it right now? Some services you may not need right now. You may need something like that a couple of years from now. Right. So just be very cautious because everybody's trying to pick away from the paycheck. Everybody.
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's a lesson that we've learned. We've spent on services where I'm like, maybe it could be good if we had more money, but sometimes you get excited about something, you're like, I probably don't need this right now.
Exactly.
So you start really just cutting back like crazy. So yeah, I've been through that.
Yes, absolutely. So that's something I think that every new business owner should learn is only take what you need, pay for what you need at the time that you need it, and you'll grow to be able to afford those things one day.
100%. So on that note, so if we're going to have this conversation again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for your business?
Oh my gosh. In 1 year from now, we hope to be even more international. I was just selected to be a speaker on a expert panel in Dubai.
Oh, amazing.
And so I'm super excited about it because I just got my passport earlier this year. I had never had a passport, but I was like, I was dreaming big, like the title of your section of this conversation. And I was like, you know what? In order to do big things like this, I'm gonna have to have my passport. I'm thinking about selling international, and I don't even have a passport yet. So I did go get my passport, and I have been to Canada for some sales events up there, which will be going back in September as well. We were selected for a minority program for Canada. But outside of Canada, when I got the email about 2 weeks ago that I was actually selected to be a part of an expert speaking board for plant-based snacking, I was like, this is huge. Plant-based is big everywhere in the world, not just in the US, but there's some other countries where plant-based is really the main thing. So we'll be there. I'll be there speaking. It's called the ISM International Middle East Show, September the 24th through the 26th. I'll be on the expert speaking board with some really big kickers there. Like I think there's someone from the division of Mars, someone from the division of Kellogg, and Dr. Shika's Bakery will be talking about how to make plant-based delicious and flavorful. So yeah.
Amazing.
So next year, I hope to be even more international, to answer your question.
Awesome. And we're rooting for you. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out, do you mind sharing your website or
Yes.
social media? I guess best ways to get in contact.
Absolutely. So our website is drshikasbakery.com. Our IG is Dr. Shika's Bakery, TikTok, Dr. Shika's Bakery, LinkedIn, Dr. Shika. You can find us everywhere on social media. That's pretty much where we do all of our marketing is on social media. And our email address is info@drshika.com.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Shika, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course.